hit the record button. All right. All right. Welcome everybody to the Health and Safety Excellence Program information session for ACSESS and the temp agency industry. My name is James Abedia, and I am the Health and Safety Excellence Program Specialist working with ACSESS as a consultant on the Excellence Program. I've been doing health and safety for about 30 years. I've been working with the industry in a consulting capacity with ACSESS for about, I guess, maybe over 10 years now. And so I'm the direct contact for all our current members in the Health and Safety Excellence Program. My objective today is to take you through the program, give you an overview of what it's all about, the great advantages of joining the program, and answer any questions that you might have on the program. It's not a huge group, so please feel free to unmute and ask questions as we go through, and that's not a problem at all. So here is kind of the agenda, and it'll be going through just kind of a overview of the benefits of joining the program, how the program is structured, and then really expand on that structure, because it's really based on, the joining stage, the developing of what we call topics stage, how you demonstrate that you've implemented your topics, and then finally, if you've done all that well, you get the achieve, which is recognition, financial rebates, and the badges. So there's a financial and non-financial. As I said, I can answer questions throughout, and so please feel free to interrupt me at any time. All right, so what's the program all about? First of all, it is the only current rebate program offered by WSIB. Historically, there have been a number of them. When they launched the Health and Safety Excellence Program, all those others were closed out, and this is the only one that exists. The whole idea is for WSIB to work with all industries in Ontario that have an active WSIB account number to support their initiatives, their safety culture, by providing them incentive to work together on developing their health and safety programs. And then, it's basically work that every company has to do, at least from legal compliance point of view. But in turn, the WSIB allows people to earn rebates financially. And if you're doing well in health and safety and being proactive, and you're not having claims, then over the long term, it can lower your premiums under the new rate framework. Certainly, it can strengthen your brand because you get that badge as a program member when you join. So, and that badge can be used in your emails and publications and newsletters. So it's a great overall return on investment, with the ultimate objective to prevent work-related injury and illness. So that's what the program is all about, how it was designed, and the thinking behind the program. ACSESS is a provider, has been a provider since the beginning of the program. They were also a provider of the previous program, which lasted for about 19 years. Some of you may be familiar with what it was called. It was called the Safety Group Program. So when the WSIB closed out that program, we became a provider of the Excellence Program. Under this current program, we run regular group meetings probably every other month or so, where I kind of meet as a large group. We network, I share updates on the program. We answer any questions. We review program topics and requirements, and I also provide one-on-one guidance. So that's through either phone call, one-on-one Zoom meetings, email exchanges as needed for folks in the program. We have a library that we created. We call it the Health and Safety Excellence Program Resource Library, where we provide samples of standards, what we call evidence stories that we'll talk about, and basically all the support needed to navigate the program, The WSIB has created an online platform, which I'll show you what that looks like in the presentation, right? So I'm your kind of your one-stop shop for anything related to the Health and Safety Excellence Program. So the steps in the program start with join. So basically the rest of the agenda today will take you through join, develop, demonstrate, and achieve. So here's all about joining. So if you're an ACSESS member, a corporate member, then your fee for each account, some companies may have multiple accounts that they want to join. Each account is $825 plus 2% of any rebate that you receive while you're enrolled in the program. The membership is on a per cycle basis, and a per cycle basis is completion of a maximum of 5 topics, as we're going to talk about, for a 365-day period maximum. Now, you don't have to take the 365 days to complete. You might be able to complete earlier, but it's still a cycle. Every time you start a cycle, you rejoin. All right. Non-members, it's $1,000 plus 2% of any rebate per cycle as well. And that fee basically covers all the resources that you need to navigate through the program, and all the meetings, any questions, the support. I have to review everything, your topics that you select before they're approved. I review all your submissions. So all of that is part of that fee, right? Now, for any account that is classified as a micro, small, or medium, which are the three levels that would show up in the WSIB database, because after medium is large. So anyone who's micro, small, and medium will receive from WSIB $1,000 for joining when I approve the topics selection. And that is until December 2024. So they have what we call a small business incentive currently, and it's been on for well, this will be the second year of it, for joining, for companies that fall into that classification. So if you're a temp agency that falls into that classification, you actually, if you're an ACSESS member, you make money just by joining, right? That is and for non-members, it basically doesn't cost them anything because they're going to get the $1,000 eventually back, right? The registration link I show you is basically to be able to do seamless registration online, filling out a questionnaire forms, and you can actually register right on online. All right. So you register with ACSESS, and then once you do that, and I confirm that you've paid with you, then I send you emails to set up your account on the WSIB platform. So we go through that process, and then once you have access to the Health and Safety Excellence platform, it's all done through the WSIB.ca online services account, which pretty well probably all of you already have, because a lot of people, I think you pay your premiums directly online, and you do that through the online services. So the Health and Safety Excellence Program link is one of those services that isn't active for you right now until you join. I help you activate that. And then the first thing you'll do in the first year that you join, the first cycle, is complete assessment. And that assessment basically is a questionnaire that kind of rates you as a beginner, intermediate, or an advanced company when it comes to health and safety. They also offer a free culture survey completion option, where you can do that anytime when you're in the program, where you can send out a link that's unique to you, to your company, to all your employees, and they can log in and complete a culture survey, and then you get the results of that. And you can do that as often as you like. Right? The next part after joining is, before we get started, is you've got to pick the topics that you're going to work on. And you can select a maximum of 5 topics per 365-day cycle, right? So I help you through that. I have a template that you will fill in, topic selection. I can help recommend topics, walk you through that process, and then I review them and do that. This is the online services account that you may all be familiar with if you have access to it at your company. And then you can see the bottom right-hand link is where we log in to do the topic selection, the survey, all of that. Right? And I help you activate that after you join. So the topic selection process. There are 39 topics in the Excellence Program, and you can see that they're basically split up into foundation, kind of the beginner, intermediate, and then advanced topics, right? And this is the 13 level 1 or foundation topics. And so you can pick from any level. You don't have to finish, level 1 and then do level 2. But obviously there is a logical progression. And so you most likely, if you're a beginner, I'm going to steer you in our conversations towards level 1, but you maybe have a lot of done. So level 2, level 3. All right. I see a question in the chat going to when is it a must for an organization to have a, does it apply if we only have software developers, IT professionals? So if you're a temp, so the question is, when do you legally need a safety program? Well, if you're a temp agency, you have some full-time staff in your office, and you actually have workers you hire, not contract, okay, that are technically your employees. You pay them, okay. Then you have workers, even if you have your own staff and everybody is a contractor. Other than that, you require to comply with health and safety law in the province of Ontario, right? One of the ways to show compliance is to have a program, right? If you don't have a program, and Ministry of Labor comes in and assesses you, they can write you orders for non-compliance, for not complying to the law, not for not having a program, but not complying to the law. And pretty well, every topic you're going to see has some link, or directly or indirectly, to legal compliance. All right. So without getting too much into the weeds, if you're an employer in the province of Ontario, you hire workers, whether they're full-time office staff or temporary placement workers, you require to comply with the law. And in order to comply with the law, you need to develop a health and safety program to show and demonstrate compliance. And pretty well all these topics, like I said, have some link one way or another to legal compliance. Right? So the introductory topics are listed here. And again, some of you may have some of these in place or do some things related to those, so we can discuss how they will apply. And the one topic in the level 1 list that's unique is called the control hazards topic. And it's highlighted for a reason, because that's the only topic in the program that can be repeated. And it's repeated for a selection of 3 options, right? You can select it over and again to develop a hazard control program. So if you have different hazards in your industry, different hazards for the types of placements you do, you can select it each time for each hazard control program, right? So I know a lot of temp agencies have done slip, trip, and falls. That's a hazard control program. That's a topic, right? Hazards related to working from home, right? Specific control program, because a lot of people are doing remote work. So again, we would work out some very specific examples, and that's another one. You can also select it to identify and control a very specific hazard, right? So, related to moving vehicles is the example given here, right? Or you can select it to control all hazards related to a process, task, or a piece of equipment, right? So if you have a lot of workers that load and unload trucks, for example, then you could do a topic focused on loading and unloading of a truck, right? So there's a lot of flexibility beyond the 39 topics when it comes to the control of hazards. Level 2 topics, the list here is 17, and you can see that they've grouped a few of the 17 together because it makes sense to do them together. Do you have to do them together? No. But again, when you pick one of them, like if you pick emergency prevention preparedness, I'm going to say, well, if you don't have emergency response already in place, you may want to do that because they kind of go together. And then there's the 3 kind of WSIB related, claims related, return to work topics. They go together, right? So sometimes it does make sense to pick and complete a group of topics together just because it's they're very related. But you don't have to do that. There's no a mandatory requirement that you do that. And there's no mandatory requirement that you pick only topics in a certain level. You can pick any topic at any level at any time. And the level 3 more advanced topics, there are 9 of those. And again, there are some that are suggested to be done together. So there's a process we go through and a discussion that we have, what is going to give you the best return on investment for safety? Where is your program at today? What's going to help make your workplace safer, help your placement workers work safer, have your office staff work safer, address specific hazards, support legal requirements. If we find, you don't have anything to do with first aid, well, first aid is regulated under Regulation 1101 under the WSIB Workplace Safety and Insurance Act. So you probably may want to pick that as a topic and make sure you're in legal compliance, right? So examples. So I go through that. So we kind of go through this whole kind of logic discussion. Usually I have at least one-on-one meeting to help companies with, any members through topic selection, right? And so that's kind of the logic that we go through in strategically selecting the right topics for you, right? The topics must fit one of these 5 categories. So that's another component of the discussion and conversation we have. Obviously, the simplest topics to pick are new. You don't have them in place. You might be doing a few little things here and there related to them, but you don't have a formal policy, procedure, historically done formal training on them. And you haven't really gone through the whole process that would, say that this topic is fully integrated. So it could be new. You may have topics you've worked on in the past, but they're sitting there collecting dust. They're not, people aren't following them. They're totally outdated. They could have a significant gap. So we can submit that as a topic. Your workplace may have gone through change. Like say you didn't, a good example would be you didn't do placements in construction industry, but you're going to now, right? And so that's a significant change. And so you're going to have to revamp a lot of your safety practices to incorporate or add in the fact that, you're placing workers in construction. And so you may have to change a lot of topics or programs because the workplace technically changed, right? Then we have category 4, which is a control of hazard, which I just talked about. So repeating those over and over. And you can have a 4 and a 1, right? Or you can have a 4 and a 2. You already have a control program, but it has a significant gap. So, there are combinations. And then the 5th topic is for people that are working on year 2 or year 3 or year 4, they can select any previous topic that they never completed in year 1, or they decided they were going to defer it in year 1. So it may have not been completed acceptable, so that you get an incomplete when it's validated, You can, doesn't mean you can never pick it again. You can pick it again in the next cycle and try to finish it properly that time. Or, you've picked 5 and that was ambitious. You're only going to do 3 or manage to complete 3. You let me know, and then you defer the other 2. You can select them in the next cycle, right? So any topic incomplete or deferred previously can be reselected anytime after. So there are some resources to help with the process and the program. And that for topic selection specifically, there is a topics guide. For every topic, there's a write-up on the topic requirements. So that's something that I go through, before you even, select your topics, read what you're signing up for, because the minimum topic requirements that you're going to have to implement are in the topic guide. And then there is what we call an evidence story that needs to be developed. And there are samples from that. And I'll explain to you what the evidence story is. So the evidence story is a document that you fill in that looks like this for every topic, right? And basically, we work on what we call a plan, do, check, act process. And so with the WSIB, we submit the evidence story. We tell them what the topic name is, what category it will fall into of the 5 that I just talked about. And then we under plan, basically we say, we picked this topic because we don't really have first aid. We really need it. And we're going to implement, it at all our branches. And we're going to also make sure that our temporary workers know about, first aid at their client sites, right? And and then the evidence that's going to go there on the right-hand column is you're going to put first aid policy, right? That's what you're going to create, and that's what you're going to upload and collect for evidence. And then under do, you're going to explain, here's how we went about implementing the topic. We created the policy, we trained everybody, we sent out emails, we made sure all our branches had a first aider. We made sure all our first aid kits are being inspected quarterly at least, that we have a first aid log and a form to report, right? First aids, right? And then all the corresponding evidence that supports that activity, right? And then usually about 8 weeks after we finished all our due, we go in, we do a check. And that's like a mini audit, a mini survey. And I have templates for like the checklists that you can use, how you get feedback. And so you explain very briefly how you went about doing your check. And then act is, if you identified any gaps in the check, you'll say, oh, when we did the check, we found that, one of our branches didn't have a first aid kit. So we bought it and put it and make sure they had it, right? And then you would take a picture of it, and that would be the evidence, right? So we write a basic evidence story on how we executed our plan, do, check, act, and the corresponding evidence to demonstrate that we did each of the stages. That's the process to show that you implemented and you carried out a topic. And the evidence that you use to demonstrate that you completed the evidence story properly can be anything, right? We collect records, reports, sign-in sheets. You can do video interviews. You can do transcript interview with a worker, emails, photos, posters, anything, screenshots from your website, screenshots from your, hard drive that's showing that you have the policies listed, pretty well anything, right? And again, I walk you through, I will help you with what evidence that you need. I review everything to make sure you're executing your evidence story properly for that topic. Once you've got all your evidence, once you've finalized the evidence story, then basically you upload it to the portal, right? And there's a portal user's guide that gives you instructions on how to do that. You upload the evidence story, you upload the evidence to the portal, and then I review it. Once it looks good and it meets the topic requirements, I send it on your behalf for validation. Every topic goes to a validator at the WSIB, They review it, they read your evidence story, they make sure that, they look at your evidence. And if it looks like you met all the topic requirements and you've got some pretty good evidence, it'll be marked complete. Okay. If there are any gaps in the evidence story, then basically they'll return it with a note saying, here are the gaps. Everything is done, written on the portal. You'll get a report of the validator from the validator, and they'll tell you what's missing. And we have 60 days to work together to make sure you address the gaps. That is desk validation. Every topic goes through desk validation. A very, very, very small percentage of topics may be selected for on-site validation. So they do pick a small number of groups, and I haven't, in the last year, I haven't had any of our current members say, hey, James, guess what? They picked me. And I usually get a notice that they were picked for on-site validation. So it's very, very small percentage. And they just go in and they revalidate what you submitted, give you some, opportunities for improvement advice. But if everything is as you addressed it in the initial desk validation, then it's not really a big deal, and they will mark it as complete. All right. So this is the validation process, what it kind of looks like. You submit everything. The validator knows your company. They can look up information. They'll look at your evidence story and the evidence you submitted. That's the kind of step 2 and 3, the evidence story, the evidence, and then they mark it complete or incomplete. And an incomplete, again, you have 60 days to address. All right. Any questions so far? The join, develop, and demonstrate. Any questions? Are these fees on time or annually? How can one find out if we fit into micro, small, medium? How much time would it take? All right, a whole bunch of questions. All right, so the rebates I'm going to talk about. So I'm going to cover your question in a second, because that is the next topic. And basically, just a quick answer is the rebates go out quarterly. So it depends which quarterly cycle you finish, rebate cycle you finish your topics, you'll fit into that queue. Okay, so you don't have to wait. The old programs, you have to wait till the end of a year, right? So they do quarterly rebates. So as you're flowing through, it depends when you closed out your action plan, when you'll get your rebate, right? How do you find out? You log in to your WSIB online services account, and I believe in your Compass, you can see if you're small, medium, or large. It's how the database has you classified. If you can't find it, email me with your account number. I'll look it up for you, right? But usually you should be able to find it through your online services, through your Compass service, which class company you are, right? How much time does it take? Every topic is different. So, it can't say some topics are much simpler, quicker. Some topics are a little bit more involved on the steps. But, if I had to give people an average, you're talking about, with the uploading and collecting of evidence and writing the procedure, you're talking about 6-8 hours of work spread out over a period of time, because you're not going to do it all. You can't do everything at the same time, right? So you want to, people want to know how much time. Okay, I calculate it. Take you an hour or two to write the procedure. You're going to have to develop maybe some training material. You don't have to all the time, but it's nice to have a couple of PowerPoint slides. How you're going to, you might have to update your template replacement booklet, orientation. So, build a couple of hours there. And then you got to carry out the training, right? You got to post the posters. You got to make sure people are doing their inspections of their first aid kit, or you got to go and inspect the kit. So throw in another hour or 2 or 3 of implementation, right? And then you got to go 8 weeks later and do the mini audit, the minute check. That should take you 10 minutes, right? And unless you have big gaps, that's the end. if the check shows your program is running smoothly, that's it. You don't have to do an act. There's no work in act. If there's a minor thing you got to fix, maybe another hour to fix the gap. That's why I say 6, 8, 10 hours tops on a per topic basis, right? For the person who's kind of coordinating it. All right. Who's like kind of my contact, right? No, the 850 fee is not annual. It's per cycle. And because a cycle maximum is 365 days, you can say it's every 365 days when you rejoin, right? You pay the 850 fee because you're starting another cycle. And meanwhile, you're going to get the rebate on the cycle you just finished, right? So every time you start a cycle, if you only take 7 months to finish a cycle and you complete all your topics, the WSIB closes your what we call the action plan. In month 8, you could start a new cycle. You're going to pay the 850 fee because you're starting the cycle. So anytime you start a cycle, you have to pay the fee because you're going to get a rebate on every completed cycle. That's how the program works. And that's what we're going to talk about now. All right. So how do the rebates work? For every topic you complete, they calculate the rebate, right? Now, since the program started, obviously the temp industry always has some quirks related to how WSIB has to almost apply everything, right? And it's no different for the excellence program because a lot of most temp agencies have multiple rates that you're paying for different industries. You are within the rate framework system until they figure it all out. And last I heard, they said, okay, for right now, until we figure out a better way, every temp agency will get 1.4%, okay, of their total premium paid in the previous year on a per topic basis. And you can see I crossed out 2% because there are companies outside of the temp industry that would fall in based on what we call predictability, a 1.4 or 2% company. So we really don't have to talk about predictability, even though it's in the presentation in case it moves to the standard formula of predictability to determine 1.42%. But right now, it's 1.4% of the total premium paid in the previous year, as of December 31st of the previous year of when you completed that topic, okay, per topic, all right? In saying that, for small companies, that could be a very small amount, and it's not a very huge incentive. So on a per topic basis, they will top it up to $1,000 minimum. So if the calculation for 1.4 based on your premium on a per topic basis would say $700, no, they're going to say, we're going to give you 1,000 for that topic. If you do 5 topics, we're going to give you 5,000, right? As long as that 5,000 does not exceed your total premium. Okay, it's not a money-making program on the initial rebate calculation, right? So if you only paid $4,000, you did 5 topics, they were going to top you up to $1,000 per topic. Well, that's $5,000, but you only pay $4,000 in premium. So they're going to cut it off at $4,000. You'll still get your $4,000 back, but you can't get more than that. You're going to get more. You're going to get 100% of your premium. Now, for huge companies, large companies, they do max it out at $50,000 per topic, which comes out to $250,000 maximum rebate you can get if you do 5 topics. So let me show you that in an example. So this is the discussion on predictability, which in your case right now, you're still at 1.4%, right? We haven't heard anything what they're going to do for the 2024 year, but temporary employment agencies are at 1.4%. So you don't really have to worry about predictability because you fall in the 1.4% right now. Okay. And if you move to predictability, where you look up your predictability, it'll be in Compass. That's where you can find it. Here's the predictability percentage that companies would do to determine if they're a 1.4 or 2% company. Again, no need to harp on that right now because you're automatically 1.4%. So how does it look? What would it look like if your premium, as of the previous year to when you completed the topics, was $96,435.39, and you're 1.4% of that, and you did 3 topics, you're going to get $4,050.28 back. All right. And that's going to be the basic calculation for 3 topics. Obviously, if you did 5, you can do the math. It's a lot more. Here is where the top up would apply. If you're a business with a $7,000 premium, you're 1.4%, you did 5 topics. You're going to tell me, James, what's the big deal? I'm only getting $499 for all that work. No, geez, forget it, right? So the answer is no, because you're going to get topped up to a $1,000 minimum per topic. So your rebate is actually going to be $5,000 back. All right. So you're going to get 5,000. So your premium is 7. You're going to get 5 of that back. Not bad. Now you might say, hey, this is pretty cool. Right. And the other example is a bigger firm, $200,000 premium at 1.4%. You complete 5 topics, you're going to get 14 grand back. Hey, now we're talking, right? Makes sense, right? Now, if you're a small business, here's where it even gets sweeter until December 31st, 2024, because let's take a look at that $7,000 premium that you pay. You only do 2 topics. They're going to top you up on a per topic. You're going to get $2,000, right? But for every initial rebate calculation, for anyone that is a small, micro, small or medium in the database, they're going to double the rebate. It's just an automatic double. Even if it goes past your premium, automatic double. So you're going to get, this company who only did 2 topics, it's going to get the initial check for $2,000, and then later on going to get another check for $2,000. So you're going to get $4,000. If you did 5 topics, $7,000 premium, okay, you're going to get $1,000 per topic. That's $5,000. And then you'll get that check and then another check for another 5. So you're going to get $10,000. So in that case, you're going to get more than your premium because of the double rebate program, right? And here is kind of a nice sweet spot kind of firm where an $80,000 premium, okay, you do 2 topics. This is a 2% calculation, so it'll be a little bit less than that, but you can see that the premiums go up and get doubled as you go, right? So currently we have a number, fairly good number of temp agencies classified in the small business program, taking full advantage, doing 5 topics and getting 10 grand. Okay, because the double of the initial rebate calculation only applies to those small businesses. Right? This is, so you were talking about how often do you get rebates? So this is the top one here is the payout, the rebate schedule for the initial calculation. So if you're going to get 5,000, you'll get your 5,000 here. And this is when your action plan closes. If it closes in this window, it's based on the previous year's premium. This is when the check will go out. It's usually the end of the month, right? So a bunch of our members just got checks at the end of November. They're all very happy. They got their money. A lot of them got, 10,000 if they're small, and if they did the 5, and then the bigger firms got a lot more than that, right? And then, like I said, when you join, you get the $1,000 payment. So there is a cycle payout for that. So you don't get it automatically. It has to be when I approved your topics, then they'll send you a check for the 1,000, right? And then the double rebate, okay? The second check for the double of the initial also goes out on a schedule. based on when your action plan closes. All right. So you get 3 payouts, the $1,000 at some point, then the initial calculation check, and then the double rebate check. The non-financial side of the equation is the badge, right? So basically you get a badge when you join, you're a member. The WSIB also posts the badge on the WSIB Safety Check site. So I can log into WSIB Safety Check, look up your company, and get some general information that it's open to anyone who may want to hire you as a temp agency, and get a lot of information. And one of the pieces is it'll show me that you're a member of the Excellence Program. All right. So they actually post the badge for you there. You can use the badge. It's downloadable. It's in English and French. It's in different color backgrounds. And you can use it on emails. You can to promote your company as a safe temp agency, all that kind of good stuff, right? Then you also get additional badges as you finish full levels. So if you finish all the topics in level 1, you'll get a level 1 badge. Then you finish all the topics in level 2 and level 3, you get the different level badges as well. All right. Lots of resources available to help us through the program. There's the members guide. There's the topics guide, the sample evidence story, which is that PDCA, samples of those for every single topic. And then there's the portal users guide. There's a WSIB also does a bunch of videos and offers webinars on the different steps on demonstrate and develop. They have individual webinars on those that are free that you can sign up for. They usually send out emails. I forward everything. So you have the schedule. They run them throughout the year. And that's all the resources on top of the library that we have with samples and templates. All the meetings I run, we record them. So if you can't make it, no big deal. You can watch the recording at your leisure. The meetings aren't mandatory, but that's your way to keep up to date with the program. If you fall behind, then I can't help you, right? And so usually, to keep up to date, you should at least watch the recordings if you can't make the meetings. This is the page on the ACSESS website for the Health and Safety Excellence Program, where we have documents, the meetings, the presentations, the handouts, the samples. And once you join the program, Jennifer gives you the link to activate all these resources. Any questions? A lot of information, giving you a good overview. I believe, Jennifer, you'll make the handouts available. So the slides will be made available to everybody.
Yep, I can send that out later today.
Yeah, no rush, but we will make that available because sometimes people ask, will the slides be available? So just unmute, ask. You don't have to type in the chat. I do have the chat open. Any questions about the program, how it works? It really is designed to give you, an incentive and rebate, not only to keep your temp workers safe, your office staff safe, but at the same time, get a little bit of reward for that because it's work legally you should be doing anyways. Any questions? Any comments? I made it that clear that no one has a question. There were like a few on the chat. Hopefully I've answered them. If not, you can unmute and I can clarify my answers. No questions. I don't see anything in the chat. All right. Must have done a good job. All right, then we'll let you go. And I hope to see you joining our group. And if you have any other questions, you can get a hold of me through Jennifer, or I think my email should be somewhere on the slides. But feel free to contact me anytime if you have any questions about the program, And also Jennifer can help you with the process for registering and all that. So thank you very much for showing up today. And I hope to be able to work with you.